Welcome to Ignite the Spark Within, a podcast designed to do just that. Ignite your spark within you. I'm your host, Sarah Malone, owner of Spark Fitness and Lifestyle Coaching and voted Yahoo Finance's top 10 female coaches to follow in 2021. I believe everyone has a fire inside them, a powerful purpose, a story waiting to be told, and everyone can uncover and unleash this power. Every day you have the choice to either let your experiences shape you or take control and use your experiences to shape the world around you. You were made to experience happiness, freedom, joy, purpose, love, passion, and abundance. Disrupt the status quo, think for yourself, and join forces with those around you doing the same. Join me for thought-provoking conversations along with the strategies needed in order to help you ignite your spark within. Billy G, thank you so much for sitting down with me on my show. Last week I was on your show once a week with Billy G. You guys have to go check that out. I highly recommend watching it on YouTube because the video portion is just so much more animated and you can literally see like the frequencies coming through the screen. You'll know what I'm talking about when you watch it, just the frequency and the vibe that we were able to how I'd like to frame it is get onto a resonance with was like next level out of this world. So thank you for trusting technology enough to get back on a show with me, Billy.
Of course. No, I'm happy to be here. And like, if people do go watch that video, we pointed out probably halfway through, but it was such an incredible conversation that the video cut out 3 different times, which if people are not open to this, I think you are if you're following Sarah, that's an energetic aspect because the frequency was so high from the topics we were diving into. So much self-help aspect, so much spirituality aspect, but just truly helping people move forward. So if you guys are open to it, head to Once a Week with Billy G and you're going to see Sarah's video right there. And I guarantee you it's going to empower you, heal you, and help you move forward just from the 3 different topics we went into. But Sarah, I appreciate being on your show and I can't wait to dive into another aspect of that right now.
Probably several different aspects if I know how our conversations go. But one of the things that was, I was listening to our episode back and really quickly just to touch on the frequency. I think my followers and listeners have seen me post this video, but it's a video of kind of like tectonics where they do music with different elements like sand and water and fire, and then basically channel the frequency of those sounds through it and see how it affects those different elements. And so when we're talking about frequency, like we can talk about that from a spiritual aspect and say it's kind of woo woo and out there, but yet it's okay to say we take this from a scientific standpoint and say, oh, that makes sense. Well, then let's get scientific and just say that if we are all energy and we're vibrating at some level of sound or frequency or speed, then when energy goes up in speed, it's going out also, and it's going to affect anything surrounding it. And so this phenomenon that Billy was talking about, how our video literally, like when we would start talking about deeply spiritual or profound things, the video would just cut out. And we're like, what is going on? Like, I have full bars, you have full bars. Oh, this is crazy. But okay, tangent over. So one of the things that we talked about that was the most profound, I think, for me was this topic of purpose. And we unraveled it a little bit more about how your opinion and your standpoint is as it pertains to and when it comes to purpose. But I am curious as to see how you got to that point and where did that journey begin for you of discovering and becoming even passionate about this concept of purpose.
Yeah, I would love to dive into that. Purpose for me, it's funny. We mentioned the YouTube channel earlier. If you go back into the YouTube channel, that's been going on for this coming Sunday will be 334 straight weeks. So if you go back to the first maybe 20 videos, gone. Right. So there's, if you guys are watching right now, or if you're listening to it, there was a little blip right there. That's what we're talking about with this concept of frequency and how the energy throws off different frequencies, lower frequencies, whether that's your phone. You could be on the phone call with someone diving into a deeper topic, a very higher frequency, higher energetic topic, and if you're going to notice, it could cut it out. Very incredible aspect, but it shows how powerful we are as energetic beings, human beings, and spiritual beings. But to connect with what Sarah was talking about, with this idea of purpose, my perspective on it, and the steps we take to figure that out, what really sparked me, like I was saying, if you go back into the YouTube channel, there's a message, and if you watch this, I'm very young at the time. This was a concept that really struck me. I had to put a message together, and it's essentially called The Purpose and helping people find theirs. And what stuck out to me is I truly believe wholeheartedly that your purpose has been looking you in the face your entire life. However, with the hustle and the go, go, go of life, we tend to overlook it. We tend to push it aside more often than we think. And then you have a lot of people in the world today searching, oh, well, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know why I'm here. But what I like to teach my clients and audiences is that if you backtrack your life to certain significant points, you find how your purpose is intertwined into all of that, but it's also intertwined into every single step you're taking moving forward. So to use myself as my example and how I really stepped into this purpose aspect in speaking and helping people and guiding people in these deeper areas of life is, so if you look at me, I'm a professional speaker, I'm a life coach. I love to help people. That's the basis of everything that I do, is helping people heal, grow, move forward in every impactful way. But if you look at my personal life examples, I've been told this from my family. I've been told this from my brother. I've been told this from my mom, my grandmother, who's now passed on and everything like that. When I was a kid, I had to be a toddler, probably just learned to talk, everything like this. They brought me and my brother, my grandmother and my mom brought me and my brother to the beach one day. And naturally, it's a Saturday, it's mobbed, uh, thousands of people, and we're there for about 20 minutes. Apparently, they lose me, and they just lost their toddler. I'm running around, probably a mother's worst nightmare, grandmother's worst nightmare. They're running around, where's Billy, where's Billy? They're screaming at the top of their lungs, everything like this. I was actually 20 yards from where we put the towel down, the blanket down for our spot, helping a little girl whose sandcastle fell apart. And she's bawling her eyes out. I'm there. My parents, or my grandmother and my mom, found me trying to help this little girl. That's a memory that they told me about, so I could really put the pieces together. I want you guys to hold that in your mind right now, of this concept of helping people that is at my core and why I do what I do. It's a factor of my purpose. So helping people has always been there from day one of my life. Then you go forward in life. Okay, no longer a toddler, you're moving forward into grade school, middle school, high school. And then I really started stepping into speaking and helping people. I gave my first speech in high school to some of the high school teams, empowering them and whatnot. People are telling me, hey, you have a gift for this. You got to follow this somehow. No one tells you how to be a professional speaker. No one, there's no actual way to step into that. So you just, shoot your shot and try and find your way. But I found that there was a gift here. There was something that was guiding me to speak and use my voice. All right, so now I'm speaking, I'm helping people, I'm taking these steps, fast forward a little bit, but now I'm figuring out, why do I like doing this? Why, if I could date back and go back to my life, what really sparked me to really want to use this gift and voice? Connect it to my purpose of helping people with this aspect. I can specifically remember there is a memory that sticks out in my mind daily about why I do this. And it was when I was 8 years old. So again, connecting it to this concept of your purpose, helping you understand there are significant moments that you might overlook in your life that's pointing you in the right direction. At 8 years old, I'm sitting on the couch with my grandfather. Me and my brother, we slept over at our grandparents' house, great time. We're watching wrestling. And me and my brother were big wrestling fans growing up, everything like that. And I can remember my grandfather, just me and him, sitting on the couch, and he was getting upset over the fact that it wasn't a wrestling match. It was someone with a microphone. And he goes, I don't like these promo aspects. I wish they would just get to the match. And I can remember as an 8-year-old kid not saying it, but literally thinking the thought before talking to my grandfather of, I actually like when they have the mic because it's one person essentially controlling the energy of the room. It's one person directing an entire audience of people. It's one person whose voice is impacting them. This was before the dream of being a speaker came about. This was before the dream and the want to do this as a living of helping people with my voice really started to show. But now that I got older, I sat there and looked back like, all right, well, why do I like doing this? Why is this my purpose? Why is this my gift? And then there are moments, there are memories in my life, significant moments that are pointing me saying, this is what you were supposed to do. This is what you were meant to do in your life. You need to take the steps forward. Whether it's from helping people from before I could talk, whether it's sitting on the couch with my grandfather that most people would overlook, but to me meant so much. And then guiding steps of speaking to different audiences, taking shots and chances on myself, steps of faith to walk into this purpose, really started to build it and shape this concept of what I want to do with my life, my purpose, and what I'm stepping into. To now, it's everything that I am, where every day I'm moving forward in my highest self, my best self, being the best version of Billy I can be because this purpose guides me. So I say that entire concept to you guys right now to help you find your purpose if you question it. There is nothing you have to search out other than your own favorite memories. What sticks out to you? What sets your heart on fire or brings in that passion of looking back in your life? That could be you sitting in an art class. That could be you sitting in a gym. That could be you having a great time with your family in a specific way. That could be you writing or reading, whatever it is. Do not overlook the simplicity of what your purpose could be, because that one concept on the beach with your family, that one concept sitting and watching a show with your grandfather could hold the key because it means that much to you. And your purpose is supposed to mean that much to you because it is your passion, which lights us up in life, which is our energy to then move forward on. So if that's you right now questioning it, guarantee you it is looking you in your face and saying, hey, I'm over here. Give me some time. And, Sarah and I talked about this in our last video. Give yourself the time to truly figure this out, to untangle the thoughts in your mind, and you'll realize, oh my goodness, life is so awesome. Life is
Yeah.
incredible. I'm going to walk forward in this aspect, no fear, just straight love, straight energy, and watch as life begins to guide you, navigate your steps to what you're meant to do. But that's where it started for me, looking back and having a moment of, why do I want to do this? And then my purpose was staring me in the face all along.
What a beautiful story. First of all, I have to point out the fact that you said when I was younger, I had to be a toddler. like,
Had
like
to.
that's just
I
part of
had
the
to go
process.
through that
Like, oh,
stage.
I guess that's part of this whole life thing. You got to be a toddler at one point. That just goes to show you like the old soul that you are.
Been called that numerous times, so yeah, no, that's true though.
That's so funny. Well, the second thing that jumped out to me was this concept of people ask it. It's so funny. I feel as though people ask the wrong questions as it pertains to purpose. Like, what is my purpose? And instead, it's like, how am I blocking my purpose from finding me? Because it's my belief that I don't find my purpose. Like, I don't pursue it. It's not something that you have to go find. It finds you and it will come and beckon you. And it's constantly summoning and beckoning you. So the question becomes, and this may be applicable to many people and at least helpful to change the perspective of like, instead of asking the question, what is my purpose? How do I find my purpose? It's like, how do I open up the space for my purpose to find me? Because I want to talk about these two parallels, and it's more opinion based, but I just wonder about, it's like the question becomes, are we born with a specific purpose and then we go through what we need, the trials that we need to go to in order to equip us in that purpose? Or it's like, do we go through stuff and our purpose becomes found in that? Do you know what I mean? It's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Did we get assigned that
Right.
purpose? And then it's like, okay, you signed up for this life of really large purpose, which means you're also signing up for a life of really large trials, tribulations, obstacles, and different circumstances. Or it's like, are you born with a clean slate, different personality traits and passions, and then you go through different trials and traumas and tribulations, and then through that, you almost develop and discover a purpose? That was something that came to me
Mhm.
while you were talking, and I'm not sure I'm even clear on which is which yet.
Yeah, I'd say it's very down the middle. If it were me, I really lean on the first. aspect you described it as,
Me
because I
too.
truly believe we are our spirits before we're a human. And the
Yes.
deeper
Oh,
you
yes.
go into spirituality, and this is in the scriptures just as much when God tells us that He knew us before we were in our mother's womb. All right,
Yes.
well, if you actually sit there and expand on that and you meditate on this, He knew us before. If that's God looking at us saying that He knew us before that, that means we were someone or something before that. But
Oh,
if you
yes.
look at
Yes.
that perspective of, I had a life before I was here, okay, to me, in the grander scheme of things, and this is in numerous books and whatnot, your soul, your spirit chose the life course it was on. And I know it's a deep thought for people, so if you have to sit on it, you have to meditate on it. I completely understand it. But your purpose has been written on your soul about what you are meant to accomplish here in life. And then your trials and tribulations that you go through, I believe it. And if you look on my website, you're going to see my symbol, which is a diamond. I truly believe that we are all meant to be diamonds in life. We're meant to shine our light, our energy in such a positive way to help everyone else. That the trials, the struggles, the tribulations, the phenomenal moments that we go through in life are, in a way, cleaning that diamond so it can shine. But if
Mhm.
you are meant to be cleaned, if you're meant to be to smudge off whatever dirt might be there, then that light that's shining from you now is directing your steps. So your spirit is now guiding you every step of the way to what your purpose is. So if your purpose has been
Oh my
written on your
gosh.
soul moving forward,
That was so beautiful. I just want really quickly before you continue that thought, because I know you have something profound coming. I just kind of want to paint a picture for my listeners of what you just described. Okay, if you picture yourself as a diamond, as Billy just said, and throughout the process of life is a series of events that basically brings fire to a certain, if you look at a diamond, it's not round, it's not square, there are many different sides to it, right? And it refracts light in different directions. If you shine a light through a pure space, it's going to refract out of another space. So picture this as you, the diamond, going through life, going through different times of fire, which would purify and refine maybe just one side. And then when you shine light through that diamond that has just been purified, a new side, it's going to refract light in a different angle. This may change your trajectory and start pulling you, like he said, in the direction of your purpose always. But remember that that's not like one direction, it's not linear. It may change based on whatever fire you're being forged in, what that fire means for you, and how it brings up a new aspect. Like he said, oh, this is beautiful too, Billy, an aspect of your purpose, right? Because I think people think that purpose is like this one thing. It's like, here it is on your plate, there you go. But you said this was an aspect of my purpose that was coming through. So it's important to remember, guys, that like purpose, there are so many aspects to it. And this comes down to your gifts and your passions. And there are different directions, and it's going to take you through a windy road, not a straight linear shot. So beautiful.
yeah, no, and I 100% agree with all of that. And to give people even further examples of that, I can use family members of mine. I can use my mom as an example, where she will tell you wholeheartedly her purpose in life was to be a mom. Her love in life was to
Mm,
be a mom. That is not well, it is a job that she does, but it's not what her passion could be that she does with her hands. It is what she feels in her soul she is meant to be. What she does elsewhere is more of a spiritual aspect, spiritual healer, spiritual teacher, everything like this. And so there's two different aspects of this purpose. Your entire life has different facets, as Sarah just said, like a diamond has different sides and everything like this. Life may try to put you through the trials and tribulations to find out one side at a very young age in your life, to really uncover some aspect. And then later in life, 10, 15 years down the line, 20 years down the line, heck, you could be 70 years old still going through something because life is not done with you. And I think if people really understand that concept, that your story is never over, never, even when the time may come for, to pass on, your life continues, your purpose continues on because life is a lesson. Life is all here to make sure our soul, individually based, is learning deeper lessons to then move forward on to bring greater impact and love and light to the rest of the world. And this is getting deep for a lot of people, but if you truly sit on this and realize how important your life is on an individual basis, and 7.8 billion people or whatever the world is up to now, there's only one you with your thoughts, your mind, your soul, your body, every passionate aspect of you, every characteristic. There's only one. It shows you how incredible you actually are. But to then take your individual thoughts and think on, wow, okay, let me dive deeper into this for myself and realize all of these loves in your life, these passions in your life, these experiences, trials, tribulations, traumas, at the same time, love, joy, passion, confidence, all these other incredible moments in your life all make up who you are. You start to look at all those trials like, oh my goodness, it brought a lesson. If I learn the lesson, I move forward. If I move forward, I'm stepping further into my passion. But to connect this now to everyone, we all look at our purpose as something that is supposed to bring a monetary value in this day and age. And I want people to really try to kind of break away from that, because I can say that my purpose in life is to use my voice to help people, and that's one factor, but it's also different areas. When I started speaking, there was not a necessary faith or spiritual aspect to it. I went through, terrible moments, in some regards that now I look back like those are the most incredible moments of my life, because it brought me to a spiritual unraveling, unveiling that like, oh, I can see clearer now to why this is why I do what I do. So life is guiding you in all these different aspects of your purpose. The trials that I go through or try to do with my hands now is how to monetize my gift, how I can speak to different audiences and help them and share that passion, share that love to help everyone else. But that doesn't mean I have to do that. I wholeheartedly believe even if I didn't step into that route to make a career out of my gift and monetize it in some aspect, I know opportunities, situations would pop up where I can speak into people's lives because your purpose is guiding you. It's all a matter about what you choose to do with your life, what you choose to see yourself as, and what you choose to take one step forward in whatever direction that might be. But if you take a moment to listen to your heart, to listen to yourself, to look back at all those memories, your thoughts, your past moments, and really realize what's the deeper meaning behind it. And I can even use an example right now. Yesterday, I did an incredible workout. Very last set of my workout, I popped my hamstring. I love the gym, everything like this. I love working out. I popped my hamstring to the point where I thought I tore this thing, and I had a little moment of shock. And I say a little moment. It had to be like
Ugh.
3 minutes, and then I was like, you say a prayer and everything like this, and then I sat there. I'm like, why did this just happen? Like why? Like I've been incredible workouts the past X amount of months. Why did the injury happen? And then I sat there and like, if you open up in just one moment, you open up for something greater to come through, even if you don't realize you're asking for it, it's going to come to you. And it was a moment like, hey, you've been killing for so long, I need you to rest for something bigger that's
You
coming
need
down
to
the
rest.
line. And if
Yes,
you
that was
did
my
not
instant
get
thought
injured
is
right
you need to
now,
rest. You need to take, yep.
right? Exactly. And like I didn't tear my hamstring. I'm very grateful that I didn't tear my hamstring because that would sideline me for so long. But now it's like, all right, I will sideline you for a week, whatever it is, but
Yeah.
you're still here. I need you to learn the lesson in the process, to find your purpose, to keep moving forward, to direct your focus somewhere else to help you move in this area so everything can come together. I can see Sarah's got
And
something on her, so I'll pass it back off to
Billy,
Sarah.
oh my gosh, because here is what happens. Like here's the thing, we're always having a conversation with ourselves mostly, right? We're always in a process of asking and answering questions. And so if we can become intentional about the questions that we're asking, because here's the thing, when you ask yourself a question, your brain is going to think of an answer. So you better ask
Mm-hmm.
some good questions. Like, don't ask the types of questions that are going to get you crappy answers. Like, why am I so fat? The
Mm-hmm.
answers you might hear coming back are probably not going to be good. It's like because you're lazy and you're this and you're that. Whereas if you're intentional about these questions that you're asking that are all designed to bring you closer, which by the way, I would like to detour super quick back to something you had said earlier about our spirits are always in existence. So my listeners have heard me talk about a lot of spiritual things, so they're used to this type of lingo. But yes, our souls, our spirits are are eternal, and
Hmm.
they are, we manifest our physical bodies for a period of time to do a certain work, and then we go back again to circulate and come back and do it again, and hopefully each time we're making some progress in that journey. Nevertheless, that's a conversation for another day. This concept of, the Bible says God knew you before you were in your mother's womb. And so my whole point goes to, really, all of our overarching purpose. Then why would God bring us into physical existence? Well, I would say that it's to know God. God knew us,
Hmm.
but God wants us to know him too. So he brings us into this physical manifestation, this journey of life, and all of life's purpose and focus and journey and growing is in order to know him more. And so
Hmm.
basically, trickling back to your hamstring incident, it's like, in this moment, okay, why did this happen? What is here for me to learn? And all of a sudden, this answer comes back to you, which I would say is from God, that says, Billy, I need you to
Hmm.
rest. I needed you to get some more rest. And then your whole perspective changes. It's like almost like gratitude, to say, thank you.
Hmm.
This is a, so all in all, this is a gift. Now, as someone will be like, oh my gosh, that sucks. I hate it when I tear a hand. Oh, I would just not be able to handle it if I were out of the gym for that long. You're like, it's a gift. God was looking over me. He's always watching after
Hmm.
us. He's always providing what we need, even if it's not what we think we want. And so that whole image that Billy just depicted for us is a perfect example of how purpose, oh my gosh, this is so good. Purpose is like, this is all about the heart, right? It's like, if I'm saying I want to find my purpose so I can make $1 million, it's like, ugh, you might not be rewarded very well, because the deepest reward from living in your purpose, and which is where our heart should be coming from, is because the mere act of living in your purpose and fulfilling what you're wired for is that deep fulfillment and a conscious connection with not only yourself, but God, your creator, and then whoever it is that you're serving. Because let me tell you something, all of our purpose is always going to involve serving. It is never self-serving, it is always others serving. And there's where you get the reward. The secondary reward of monetary gain or acquisition or worldly success may come, maybe not. But when we can remove our desire for that, our obsession for that, our longing and striving and forcing for that, like climbing the ladder, it's like then we really
Hmm.
settle into the whole meaning of life, which is really to know God and to serve others.
Right. Yeah. I 100% agree to everything you just said, and to expand it a little bit more for people, in this concept of to know God deeper and whatnot, and that's the truest thing that is in the Bible. And if you look at it, God is trying to, as much as you're trying to experience your life here on earth and whatever that looks like for you, if you dive deeper into a spiritual perspective of it, God is trying to learn through us as much as we are trying to learn through Him. And He is an
Yes.
all-knowing God. He's omnipotent. He's the Alpha and the Omega, and all these incredible concepts that we describe God as. He knows everything, but as much as we're experiencing Him in this light, He wants to experience life as us in this light. And if you can really expand that connection between you and God right now, and whether that's in a prayerful moment, whether that's in a meditation moment, but you open your mind up a little bit to see what God is trying to do through you, and you start to take your perspective off of the role models of the world, off of the people that the news puts on a pedestal, off of these actors and whatever it might be, and you take your perspective a little bit closer home to yourself and realize what God is trying to do through you, you will realize that you receive so much more fulfillment in this self-fulfilling aspect of your life, because you are now walking in your purpose of trying to connect to God, of trying to let God connect through you. And what that does is it unravels so much about what steps you're supposed to take, because you are now in alignment to why your soul is here, to why your spirit came here at the exact time it did. And a lot of people question, like, who am I and what am I supposed to do and whatnot, and you're, again, if you're looking externally for it, you're missing the answer, which is actually internally. And if you take
Yes.
that perspective and look back home just a little bit, you start to realize, what is God trying to do through me? And to connect this point, Sarah, there was a memory came to mind of when I started to really step into my faith and really understand these deeper aspects of the scripture and God and spirituality and whatnot. I can remember I was going through a lot in life, but I had a buddy that also had big dreams as I do, and I talk to him every once in a while and everything. Life has kind of brought us these dreams, so it's different connections right now. But I can remember us sitting one time at the park. We just did a workout and whatnot, and he asked me. He goes, "Man, like, you gotta think about it. We got these big dreams, man. And our goals. We're supposed to give these dreams and these goals to God, and He has His way with them." And I just looked at him. I go, "No, I agree with that. But think of it this way: we're meant to love God so much and trust Him and have so much faith in Him and give our dreams to Him. But how absolutely incredible is it to sit there and think that He loves us so much that He was the one that put the dream on your heart? He gave you the dream in the first place so you could bring it out, but you give it back to Him. How
Give it
much
back
trust
to
does He
him.
have in you to walk this life out and live it out with your purpose, your passion guiding you every step of the way? And He wants to see what that life is like with you taking these steps. So when your life is now in tune with a relationship with God, to walk this out with Him, to walk this out with your source, and really realize, wow, I am empowered. This is where all that energetic manifestation aspect comes in, because you are essentially, the creator is in you. That I am statement. And when that great I am that we know is God above, and you realize that He is in you, what you say after that statement comes alive because He has a factor of you to walk that forward. I'll pass off to Sarah. I saw you, that sparked you some way.
Oh, all of that. So much. Yes, there was multiple things that were sparked in me during that. And one part I wanted to say was reminded me of Mother Teresa and how she
Yep.
would say things like, when you go out on the streets, everyone you see is God, in physical form. And when
Mm-hmm.
we see each other that way, there is no one above or below us. We are all equals. And that term begins to take a new meaning, a new depth of meaning. And now, additionally, is this concept of God putting the dream in your heart and then giving it back to Him. I will never forget this moment. When I moved to Arizona, within the first couple of months, it was very challenging for me emotionally, mentally,
Mm-hmm.
physically, just navigating my way in a completely new area where I knew no one and I was starting a business from scratch. And so I had many moments with God, many real moments. Some of them, I'm yelling to God at the top of my lungs, like, why the hell did you bring me here? Like, what is this? You promised me all of this vision for my life. And it's like, what am I doing here? And there was a moment in meditation and then on a walk with God that just literally brought me to my knees in tears because I understood. He said, Sarah, it's so simple. I just want you to give the gift back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And everything clicked to me. It's like we didn't do anything to receive these gifts. They were a gracious and selfless gift, free of charge to us. And with that comes a bit of a responsibility as well. And giving that back to God means walking in it. It means seeking, at least constantly seeking. Now, here's the thing. It's like, do we ever achieve that to the level in which it would honor God? I don't know. I don't know, but that's not the point. God wants our hearts. And He wants us to say, I don't know, but please help me to manifest and incorporate and steward this gift in a way that is honoring to you. That's it. That's literally it.
Mm-hmm.
And what that
Yeah.
becomes is a collaboration, a collaboration, co-creation, and you become a co-creator with your creator. And that's why people
Mm.
can take it too far, like, you know, by the way, first of all, I have to go back to what you said. I'm glad people are asking these questions now. Like, you know, why was I born at this time, in this place, at this specific moment? You know, we should be asked. Those are a great question to ask. And then keep going. And then keep
Hmm.
going. You know, it's like, why am I here? And then it's like everybody's supposed to have an impact to whatever capacity is up to that individual and the assignment for them. Sometimes it's just this close little
Yep.
network of your family, your kids and your husband or wife or whatever that may be. And sometimes it's a group of people. And in yours and my cases, it's a large group of people, right? We're trying to reach
Mhm.
the masses. And so
Right.
my point being is all of us are supposed to make this impact. It just depends on to what extent. And you don't need a career to do that.
Yep. Mhm. Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know,
And I agree with that
my
whole.
one thought that comes up with all of this discussion on purpose though is like, you know, some people, I just wonder if they're even interested in it. And then we ask ourselves, you know, well, is everybody supposed to live into their purpose on their time on this earth? And I just don't think that they are.
Yep. I can see that. I think everything comes down to a decision basis. And I think we said this in our last talk that's on the YouTube episode, but everyone's decisions are so empowering for themselves and whatever step they take for that matter. Do people follow their purpose in life? Of course. Do people choose differently? Of course. And it's just a matter of what level of spirituality you want to step into. For
Okay,
those of us
wait. All
that,
right.
I
Let's
can speak.
let's riff on this really quickly. So, you said some people do it, some people follow it, some people don't. Do you
Hmm?
think that that was their purpose? That their purpose was not to follow that?
I think that all things work together wholeheartedly. I think that's a major scripture, Romans 8:28. However, at the same time, I think that your soul has lessons to learn here. And if you choose, there is someone that could be listening right now that completely could choose against every single lesson they're supposed to. Whether people go this far into spirituality, if you choose differently to your purpose, your life will be used for something in life. I sit there and
Yes.
I think of a prison where there's a lot of people that are in a prison right now that have made some terrible choices in life. You know, God will take that struggle that you caused other people if you're in prison right now, and He will work it together in such an incredible way for the people that might have been impacted from whatever caused you to be put in that prison. If at some point in that prison you choose to give your life back to God, look what He's done with so many people that have spent time in prison. He's used them in incredible ways because they caught it. They realized, I've been living my life the wrong way. I want to do it the right way. So why would someone even have that question or that statement of I've been living my life the wrong way? That means that the decisions you were making were not in line with your purpose, with what you were moving forward in life on. But now God takes you, He remakes you. There's so many stories in the Bible to how He does this, and He puts you back on the right path, on a better path for you to live out your purpose and how it will now. There are a lot of people that choose I don't want that life. There are a lot of people that aren't on a spiritual level where they see things from a different set of eyes, you could say, a different part of their heart for that matter. And then later in life, when they pass on, their spirit goes up, goes down, whatever people believe. But when people, your soul, your spirit will have another chance. And whether you step into the aspect of reincarnation or not, your soul needs to learn lessons at the point of this life here on earth for every single one of us. Earth is a very, and I'm going to speak down on a planetary level, Earth is a very tough place. It is meant for trials and tribulations. That's why we're here, so our soul could learn a soul lesson. If people turn away from that lesson time and time again, I'm not going to say you're prolonging the aspect, but you will come back to learn the lesson that you could have learned this time around. And that's
Yes.
what reincarnation was meant to be. And now I don't people look at spirituality in different aspects. I'm going to add this little aspect before passing it off to Sarah. If you think of Jesus as being uh, the one, we're literally, as the Bible states, we're meant to be like Jesus, to walk as Jesus, to move forward as Him, to help people as Him, and so on and so forth. So if Jesus started in heaven, and then came through uh, Mary and as an infant, as a toddler, as a kid, and everything like this, teenager, so on and so forth. And we're meant to live like him. That means that our soul did the same thing. Where it started in heaven, God knew us before our mother's womb, comes through mother's womb, everything like this. You are now learning all these lessons your spirit and soul needed to learn so you can make it back to heaven. It's a giant cycle of life, as they say. But if Jesus was meant to be the example, then we are meant to follow that example, which means whether you choose right or wrong, God will use your soul, your life here, to create an impact. And that's what the beauty is of giving that impact to Him. He'll use it in an incredible way. If you're going to hold on to that, He will use everything around you, whatever it was, to impact everyone in a positive way, even if you made the wrong decisions. So, connecting it to your question now, Sarah, of honestly, essentially, do some people squander it? 100% some people squander it. But God will work it all together, as the scripture
Yeah.
states. And I think we can see that in different people in the world. I'll pass it back off to
Hmm.
you with that.
No, I love that because God works all things for his good. And what I hear in that and what I was referring to also is that even when people choose not to follow or walk in their purpose, their life,
Mm-hmm.
even their mistakes and their choices that are turning away from light, we should say, it's not necessarily like the you should or shouldn't make these choices or actions. It's like, who am I to say anyone should or shouldn't? I know what's of God and I know what's not of God. So, I mean, we can all pretty much agree on those types of things. Like, you shouldn't murder people, you shouldn't rape people, you shouldn't do those types of things. But, who am I to say that you have to follow your destiny and your passions and live fully into your calling? You don't have to do that. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to do any of that. Your life, regardless of what those choices that you choose become, will, though, be purposeful to those that are around you and even those that you do not know, because we are all one. This one humanity, this
Mm-hmm.
one song. Universe literally means one song. We are all instruments playing in this one song of God. And it's like, when one note is off, the whole song is off in some way. So this ripple effect becomes really important here, to know that, like, my decisions, here's the thing, my decisions, choices, whether they be to follow my calling, but whether they be something as simple as waking up early in the morning to set my mindset, or truly like
Mm-hmm.
living into my calling and maximizing that, or it's going to affect somebody.
Yep.
To think anything other than that is selfish, almost thinking that you are the universe and that, it's only you and what you do for yourself matters. Additionally, I wanted to touch on the point of following Jesus' footsteps. Absolutely so beautiful. And I want to expand on this for listeners to give a visual almost of this cycle, this circle of coming from heaven through into the physical body and manifestation of our soul's physical being, and then walking this earth to learn lessons and do a certain work through faith through us, and then entering back up into that space and then doing it again. And my belief is that, and the Bible would talk about this in certain ways, is that we continue to do that until the judgment day, until the day that
Mm-hmm.
Jesus comes again and the whole earth knows and the whole earth shall bow down. So it's like we will cyclically do this progression, make some progress here, enter into the ether, come back, make some progress here, enter into the ether. And hopefully along the way you will make that choice. But, you know, it's not like you have eternity to figure it out. There is a finite amount of
Yep.
time, Jesus returning.
Right.
But, you
Mm-hmm.
know, we can, I think we all have an innate and deep knowing of, like, I know I've had many cycles, many, many cycles. And the reason I say that is because I feel like I've progressed in such a way where this may be even my last incarnation. Like, I feel conscious enough to know that I'm going to complete my destiny in this one. That's interesting. The difference between destiny and purpose.
Mm, yeah, I think that's awesome. And
What are your
to
thoughts on
build
that?
on what you said, yeah, I think purpose is, I guess in some regards, every if we want to stick under the concept of your soul is different lives, essentially reincarnation, past life regression, whatever term people want to connect this to, your soul every single time down has a different purpose because it's a different lesson to learn. And a destiny concept, with that being the backdrop, no matter how many lives it takes you, the destiny is the ultimate goal that you might
Hmm.
not even recognize. Your destiny can be so much more empowering than what you even believe your life to be right now. But in the
And it usually
grand
is.
scheme of your, right? In the grand scheme of your entire story. I'm not talking about from the day you were born in, say, I was born in 1993. I'm not talking about January 29th, 1993. I'm talking years before that, hundreds of years before that. Your soul had a different life. It was me. I was at some point. I was probably not named Billy, know. And this is a really deep concept for people. But when that to me is a destiny aspect. However long it takes you to accomplish what your soul's mission was, is your destiny. Your purpose is this life's mission. I think that's two different ways to look at it. Your soul's mission,
Love it.
your life's mission. Your purpose is
Hmm.
intertwined into all of that. But this life, my purpose is my mission.
Yes, yes.
Then the umbrella effect, the umbrella is your destiny. What is my soul's accomplishment at the end of the story? And that's whenever God chooses the end of the story to be. I agree with you, Sarah. We never know. This could be the last cycle, which means until you really dive deep, and your unconscious holds all these answers. If you really dive deep, you can realize all these past experiences your soul has been through. If people really want to look into that, look up Brian Weiss. Sarah's a hypnotherapist. Brian Weiss is an incredible hypnotherapist. I've read a couple of his books and whatnot. He helps people go into their past life regression and a soul aspect, and they're able to, in this hypnotherapy um, session, I guess, really understand, like, wow, they experience what their soul experienced in a different life. That could, like, there in his incredible book, the Messages from the Masters is one that I really impacted me in such a way. Some of his clients, woman, she was able to go back, and the year was probably early 90s at the time of this session. She was able to go back to the Civil War, and she experienced, and it
Hmm.
wasn't a dream, it was literally through her unconscious showed her literally what she experienced at the time. And it was a very major wound that she experienced. But in going back and realizing the purpose behind it through a hypnotherapy session, she was able to heal that wound. And I'll close this point off. But your soul has had different experiences, it's had different lessons, it's had different wounds. And if the wound isn't healed in that lifetime, the next lifetime, you kind of walk with that wound. You walk with that pain until you are able to heal it. And I'm not going to say you have to go into a hypnotherapy session to heal that, but your trials and tribulations that God has lined up for you is meant to heal that in you. So you can
So,
then take the weight off your shoulders and move forward. I'll pass it off to you, Sarah. Go for it.
yeah, yeah. So sorry. So sorry. Um, so interesting that you bring up hypnotherapy as a form of past life regression. It's a beautiful form of that. I had a client, we did a past life regression, and she went back to a lifetime which she was a man. And
Mm-hmm.
she was actually an abuser in her past life.
Okay.
And she had
Mm.
abused her wife and children, and there was a bunch of kind of trauma related to that, and guilt and shame. And it's like, people ask the question like, well, how do you know that that's real? And it's like, you know, you don't. But why
Mm.
does that even matter? The point
Yep.
is that it released a bond, and this is where we can get into a term, conversation about karma. This is what karma really means. When we're talking about ending karmic wounds or ending karmic trends or karma bonds or karmic relationships, this is really what it means. It's like we carry on, even though we don't carry the memories or the potential same onset of characteristics as our past lives, we still carry on that emotional baggage and the bondage that's associated with it. So if you were a victim in a past life, then you will carry on the feelings and the traumas and the dysfunction of that traumatic experience, and vice
Hmm.
versa. If you were a perpetrator in a past life, you will carry on the certain plagues of that until you address it and end it. And this can be done through karmic relationships, past life regressions in that way. Trauma bonding is a way to do this. So this is all about really like our conscious effect and our ability to become awake to this. Because like we said in your show, everyone is spiritual. It's just, are you sleeping or are you awake
Mm.
during this spiritual process? And so it's like, to what extent you're awake, you're able to kind of move backwards in timeline, solve
Mm.
some of these karma trends in order to move your soul forward faster. People are like talking about the speed. It's like you can't really force the speed of your soul to evolve. You just have to be
Hmm.
conscious enough to be able to go back to moments where that might be frightening or painful or whatever to you, to be able to go there in a strong stance and say, I'm here to resolve you. I'm not here to relive
Yep.
you. I'm here to resolve this moment. That's what hypnotherapy does. I'm here to resolve this moment so that I can make not only steps, but exponential strides in my
Yeah.
soul's path.
Right.
You
Yeah.
only make exponential strides when you go back to those moments and resolve them. Otherwise, you're just climbing up a mountain your whole life.
Right. Yep. Which I think more so this day and age more than ever is what we're taught life is supposed to be. I was taught
Yes.
that. I don't even think that's just me being a guy. I think all of us are taught that in this day and age of you have to work your way up the mountain. And we even teach people that image of take the next step. And then the next perspective came about of make sure you enjoy the journey up the mountain. I'm like, well, why? Now you're talking like, why are we always talking about mountain? You know, and then that's just what we're taught now. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. Life is not meant to be up the mountain, up the mountain. So all you're saying is that life will be a challenge. Life will have its challenges. Life will have its tough moments, trials and tribulations, wholeheartedly. But to think that life will be without its joy, its peace, its love, its empowering moments, its passion, to think that life will be without that because it's just a struggle until you make it up to the mountain, that's the complete wrong perspective. And I think we teach that to people now more than ever, is that sadly, that wrong perspective,
Well, and I think that's the whole
right?
basis of spirituality and what we should be learning from Jesus is,
Mm-hmm.
he displayed and he put himself in this life to experience all of what humans experience. And I think shifting our
Yeah.
perspective of what challenges really are, it's like the thing is I can't experience joy to a level greater to which I'm able to experience sadness or
Mm.
grief. It's like the high the greater the extremity between the two polarities. Like,
Mm.
I think that's ultimate mastery in human emotions. And actually, then we get to another level of mastery to say that all of it is just joy.
Mm. I agree with that. I
And even
definitely
you
agree
and
with
I were
that
talking in
wholeheartedly.
more of a, what's that?
I agree with that perspective of it is all joy. And if you
It
can
is.
have that perspective, you're essentially learning the lessons in the pain, which brings
Yeah.
joy. It brings healing, learning that.
Yeah, and ultimately, all that is love, because all there really is love. We've created
Yep.
everything else. We've created
Mhm.
fear, we've created pain, we've created sadness, all of these things. Take your hamstring event, for instance. I see love in that. That was an
Mhm.
act of love from your creator to say, rest. Your physical body
Yep.
is your physical
Yep.
body. Like it's temporary.
Yep.
I need your soul to rest. And this is my signal to
Yep.
you. It could be worse if you don't listen, like I got that really deadly illness.
Hmm.
And that was the moment of grace for me because I received an answer of like you are doing this all wrong. God wanted me out there,
Yep.
hands and feet, in front of people, building connections, literally spreading love. And here I was trying to do all the stuff that business owners should be doing, right? The social media marketing, talking to this person, hiring companies, doing investments, email marketing, all these things, and I was miserable. I was miserable
Hmm.
and not making any impact or growth. And it's like God was like, boom, I need you down
Yep.
and out. I have a message for you. And right there, in the middle of 108 fever, I received the answer. It was like hands and feet and mouth. That's where I need you.
Mm.
I need you to be the hands and feet of Jesus. That is how you're going to do what I've put you here to do, Sarah. And all of that is love. So it's like you look at
Mm.
we look at sickness now and I say there is no misery in sickness. It's only misery if I
Mm.
choose it to be. All of that is still love. That sickness is still love.
Hmm. I love that. I love that wholeheartedly. And I connect so much of my story with that, where prior to us filming the YouTube episode we did on once a week, Sarah and I were talking, and we were kind of, it's truthfully, it's the first time we had an actual conversation over Zoom or what we're recording on right now. And I was explaining some of my background, and it connects very much to Sarah's story right now of God had to, we think life, and I'm talking to every listener right now, we think life is supposed to go a certain way. It's supposed to look a certain way. Call it the American dream, call it whatever you want to call it. We think that's the perspective we have because when we're kids, when we're teenagers, everything like this, whatever we see in the household, every cartoon, every show we watch, every movie we watch shows a perspective of what the world is, and we imprint that like that's what life is supposed to be like. And then
Hmm.
life might not go that way. And to connect to Sarah's story right now of her having to go through the illness for God to really show her, I explained to Sarah, as I tell you guys right now, I can specifically remember when God, growing up, I knew of God, I didn't know God. And then I started creating my life and what I thought life was supposed to be. You pursue whatever's on your heart to do. You find, in my perspective, you find the girl. You try to create a life, a business, a success, money out of that. You buy the house. You have the kids. You do all this kind of stuff. That's what every single person that I went to high school with was pursuing because that's what we were told. And then God was like, hey, I know you're going this way. I need you to meet me. And then everything in my life shattered to its pieces. And I say that to you right now with the utmost joy behind this message because I am ecstatic that it happened. And I say that
Yeah.
because I love it, where he shattered my relationship at the time. My family was in complete disarray, shattered, anger at everyone because we had a major loss in the family that was like the glue. Everyone's at each other's throats. So my family was in disarray, destroyed. What I was doing for work decided to throw me to the wolves and just say like, hey, if you come back, phenomenal, and like we're just gonna have you live in this stress. So work was in trouble, relationship was destroyed, family was destroyed, mindset. I was in the biggest depression of my life, and because everything I thought life was supposed to be crumbled, and then that's when God stepped in and goes, hey, you were building your foundations on everything that the world tells you to, but I need you to build your foundations on the rock that stands forever, which is what his scripture states that he is the rock. So my foundations then had to be built on God, and then that's when life truly could start. And then now people know that I went through all that pain, and like, how are you still happy? Connects to what Sarah said
Yeah.
earlier, where eventually you start to find the joy in everything that you do. I told that story. I was being interviewed on a radio show, and a New York radio show, and I explained that. And the host, asked me, Billy, how, like, you said all that with a smile on your face. How? I was like, because it was an incredible moment in my life. I'm ecstatic that I went through that. She's like, but it's so painful. I'm like, yeah. And it taught me everything that I do now because God has a plan. And he's guiding you through that pain. That's where you can find the joy in all of it. It might take you time later in life to realize what God was doing. That's okay. It's all on his timetable. But to then really unravel in your own mind, as Sarah did through her illness, as God did through my pains and whatnot, to put us on this path, God has a plan for your life. And if you listen to it, yeah, he might shatter some things, but he's going to make sure all that gets rebuilt his own way so you can have a peace that you walk in life. Absolutely incredible. But I agree with you, Sarah, wholeheartedly.
Yeah, one thing I remember this quote very clearly from Darius Daniels. He's a pastor that I'm very, very fond of. And he said, God will never take something away if he doesn't plan to replace it with something better.
Mm,
God will never take something away that he doesn't plan to replace with something better. And that is so true because what we think we want is most always not what God has in store for us or what we need. We have a finite way
mm,
that's, and I didn't tell you this part of my story, but I too went through a series of losing it all. I was married, uh, divorce, catastrophic, could have lost my entire livelihood and business. Um, I had strained relationships with my family. So, and I want to point this out too for people. It doesn't matter if you've never been through an experience like that to quote unquote lose it all. Like rock bottom isn't defined on the physical aspect of what happens. Rock bottom is a place that you get to in your soul that says, I have had enough. I've had enough of trying to do it my way. I need to know your way, God. So I chalk it up like hands off the wheel, take take the wheel and steer me where I need to go. And that again, if you can just like see that. See, when you're telling me the story, I'm like divine intervention. Thank God, right?
100%.
That God would go to such lengths for you, Billy, to strip away all these things like all at once. It's like,
Right?
okay, we're gonna take this and nope, he's not getting it. I need Billy to do this great work. So, boom,
Yep.
girlfriend's gone, boom, job's gone, boom. Family says you got nothing, Billy. All you got is me. Now what?
100%.
Where are we
Right?
going? Do I have your attention? And you're like,
Yeah.
yes, you
Yeah.
have my attention. And he's like, good. Now I can use you.
Yeah. Right? And to add on to that for people listening right now, if you don't look at yourself as a spiritual person, at the time of all my life being shattered like that, I was not. I didn't know of God. He had to send people into my life to really say, like, hey, do you want to, like, I'm going to church this week. You want to go with me? And I said no. And then eventually something in my heart was like, you got to go. Go. And it's incredible. So I was at a point in my life where, I didn't know God at all. And so if you're listening right now and that's you, he will send people in to show you the path to take. With mine, I didn't know of him. I knew, like I said, I knew of God. I didn't know him. For him to shatter my life into all these pieces, I could have, and I think I only bring this up because I think now, not now more than ever, I think the history of the world, we do this. Just like that mountain example that Sarah described. We think that when life's pieces are on the ground, we gotta collect whatever we can and try and put them back together on our own power, right? Not on God's power. And I think God knew that that's my. I'm a person. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, there's a factor of me that I just don't quit on things. Whether it's my business, whether it's fitness, whether it's friends that might not be there too often, whether it's relationships, and God knows that wholeheartedly. It's probably a gift, but He knew I would not give up on all those different aspects of my life. So he kept taking him away, taking him away, taking him away. And says, it's just like the old Verizon commercials. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Or can you look at me now? And then eventually I just felt it in me. I heard it in my soul. And that's when I really started to hear him talk to me. Come to church, come to this. And he started to guide me every step of the way. But he had to get me to a point of wanting to want him because I was so broke. I had nothing else in my life. The only thing I had, yeah, let's just go see what this is all about because I was so broken. So if you're someone listening right now and you don't see yourself as spiritual or whatever it is, I was the same way. I didn't know what this stuff was, but I was so broken. My spirit was calling out, Bill, go here, go here. Connecting it to all these pieces now. If your ego is going to be so strong, you're like, you don't need that, just keep doing it on your own. Just keep doing it. You'll put the pieces back, just keep going. I had a mentality, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going, just keep going. And God's like, no, stop. Just like this
You're like,
hamstring injury. No, stop. Let me do it, you know?
yep,
And you have to be able to laugh at that. You have to be able to smile at that because he wants to help you. But you got to give him the opportunity to help you. No matter what your story is, no matter what trial, tribulation, pain, trauma, struggle that you've been through in your life, look at it now from the perspective of God saying, like, hey, I want to help you, let me in. And if you let him
yeah,
into that situation, to that experience, to your life, watch what happens to the point where you can talk to whoever it is, explain your pain with a smile on your face, as I love doing. And they're like, well, how do you do that? Because people don't look at it from the perspective that they can get through it until they have to go through it. But when God wants to help you in that process, you start to develop the joy that Sarah touched on, where even in pain, there's joy. And that's the
yeah,
message of the scriptures and whatnot, too, that you can walk in this abundant joy in life and have the perspective that life is trying to show you this joy, because that's what we're here to experience. This higher, we're going to connect all the pieces together now. Joy is an incredible emotion, but it's a higher level frequency. If it's a higher level frequency, higher level answers come through, which means God is going to speak directly to you. And if that's the case, let Him guide you in those steps to not just closer to Him, but so you can develop who you are meant to become, your best self, your highest self, whatever term you want to use. But if you allow God to work in you, that mountain comes a little bit more to eye level. And every step you take on that journey is developing into the next best version of you, one step at a time, trusting Him, allowing that love in to heal you, to move forward. And then every trauma you go through, it's not even a trauma anymore. It's just helping you get stronger. That's why everything you face in life, look at it with a smile. That's tough for people. Look at it with a smile, like, cool. All right, let's go. And it's a challenge for sure, but it's a challenge you can accomplish because as we connect it together, it's your purpose, it's your destiny, it's your lesson to learn in that trial. Learn the lesson, you pass the test, move on to the next one. That's the beauty of life and where it's elevating you to.
okay. Well, let everyone just take that in from Billy. And I have two points that I want to finish with from what you just said. So, the first one, I would like to wrap up this episode with the positive spin to all of this. So, Billy and I talk about trials and tribulations and challenges and all of these things, and how the path is joy and purpose and all of these things. It's like, but let's not forget, we don't have to go through all of that pain in order to learn and progress on our path. Like, there are plenty of examples all around you in the form of people and your connection with God that you can learn from and avoid making these mistakes, right? It says so I think that we can often say, if we believe in this deep spiritual experience, then we can say, oh, everything happens for a reason. It's like, well, sometimes we just make mistakes too, but God will use that too. Like, it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, you messed that one up, that must have been part of the plan. It's like, it's all part of the plan, and then also none of it is part of the plan, but God will use it all. The point I'm trying to make is that you don't have to have these painful losing it all experiences. You can learn before you go through that, and experience the joy and the bliss that and peace that we're all truly after in this life here on this earth experience, this earth's school, because this is really what it is. This is the biggest, the best school there is. We're all just students of it. But this
Mm.
concept of joy too, ironically, is everyone's after the things. The and all that we want to do with these things is show people that we're worth something, that we're valuable. Like, see, I can do it. I proved to all of these people who really don't care about me that I'm something and I'm somebody. And all that we really want in this process is joy, peace, love,
Mm.
compassion, fulfillment. And the ironic part is, by seeking the things, we are less likely to experience those joy, peace, love, compassion than we are if we were to say, I'm in pursuit of joy, peace, love, and compassion. What does a life lived in joy, peace, love, compassion look like? And then usually we get everything we could have wanted and more when we're living in that state first versus going after the things first and expecting to get the joy and the peace and the love from it. The joy and the peace and the love comes because you choose to look up and in first. And then you
Hmm.
start moving outwards, and all of these things start to change in your life because what Billy said, you're operating at a higher frequency of emotions. You're operating at a higher frequency of being rather than doing in order to achieve
Mm.
these things. You don't achieve joy. You step into it because it's a gift that's been given to you. It's a price that's already been paid. You don't have to do anything to receive it. You just experience it.
Hmm. I love that.
So
And to add to that, I know you want to close it out, but what I love to teach
please
in my
go.
seminars, and you kind of just you hit it right there on the head. I love teaching this concept to people, whether it's a coaching session, an audience seminar, whatever it is. You are a human being, a spiritual being, an energetic being. You are not a human doing. You're not a spiritual
Doing, yeah.
doing, and you're not an energetic doing. So if you just take that concept, like I said, you might not be a spiritual person, but you're a human being. You're supposed to be here. So, as Sarah describes it, if you want to experience joy, connecting to what she said at the start of this video, your questions are so powerful because your mind is a supercomputer. So, if you go to Google, as we all have become accustomed to do, and ask any question to try and get an answer, we'll give it to you in a second. I tell everyone your phone, Google, laptop, computer, whatever it is a carbon copy of how strong your mind actually is. I call it the universal tool because it can do anything, create anything, can answer any question. But what are you typing into that search engine? Questions are you asking? To empower yourself, you have to ask a more empowering question. To get a better answer, you have to ask a better question. To experience the joy, as Sarah just touched on, you have to step into it. Ask yourself, yes, what is life like to walk in joy? All right, that's a great question. Now life is going to give you an answer. Your brain, your mind has to give you an answer. But now it's going to start to attract in opportunities to show you what it's like to walk life in joy. That's you creating experiences in your life situations based off of the energy you're putting out there, based off of your thoughts and your words and your actions. Everything that is so simplistic nowadays is all in your control. You don't have to go buy it at a store. You don't have to go search it out. It's all at your fingertips. To walk that out, you can experience whatever you want in life. You can experience the emotions that you want to experience in life. You can experience your purpose in life by asking the right questions, by taking steps in the right direction. But to understand that you're a human being, be right here. You don't have to do anything to experience that joy. You can be right here and experience that joy. And so I always tell clients and whatnot, well, Billy, I want to experience a more joyous life. I want to experience love. I want to experience all this stuff. I'm like, all right, tell me a memory where it did happen. And they can come, well, back when we were kids, blah, blah, blah. And you see the smile come across their face, just going over this memory. In that one moment of thinking back to a memory you had where you experienced joy, puts you in a state of joy right now. To come out of that memory, understand that you are in that joy right now. Walk it out at that higher level. Walk it out, that emotion, that energy in motion, that frequency. By having that smile on your face, by having that memory that created for you, you now have an opportunity to create more joyous moments in your life, aka you are now walking in joy, experiencing joy, and at that point, I believe everything in life is at your fingertips because you
Yes.
now became the creator, co-creator, walking in that with God, everything he wants to experience, but now you have a little bit more control over what steps you take to get to your purpose, to get to your passion, to get to your destiny. I'll pass it off to Sarah.
Well, And here's what it is, okay? Because everything that ever will be is already created, it's already here, it's already out there. What we need to do is figure out at which frequency, which channel do I have to tune into in order to attract what I truly want into my life. If I want more love, if I want more loving relationships, if I want more joy, if I want more passion, if I want more presence, if I want more fill in the blank, then then what we are putting out, we get in return. So if you want more joy, put out joy. If you want more love, you put out joy. You're tuning into that frequency in which all things revolving love or joy exist. And then you're entering into that plane in order to draw in anything that falls in the category of love or joy or abundance or passion or purpose, fill in the blank, to you. And
Mm.
this is what we mean. Like, it's like, but Billy, how do I not do and still like be productive? How do I just be? And I just wrote a chapter in my book that should be coming out very soon on this about the pieces found in being, not doing. And really the only thing that separates those two is a single thought. It's a single thought. It's like you may still be
Mm.
physically doing things. The difference is that you're being in the doing. And all that is presence, and it's intention of like, what am I putting out? I'm being in this moment with you, Billy, right now, like only here, and I'm doing it with the intention of joy and learning and growth and value. Like that's how I'm being right
Mm.
now, because if I'm just doing it, I'm like, all right, let's just get this over with. And so we can pump out this podcast. And it looks like I'm doing a bunch of things. And this is all perception based. It's all based in fear and judgment. And I
Mm.
need to be valuable. I need to show these people that I have this guest on my show and we put out this podcast. And that's just doing. Right. And while your
Mm.
action may be a good action, you're like, I don't understand. I'm not getting all the fruits of my labor. I'm doing all these things that the professionals do. I listen to the books. I'm going through my morning routine. And it's like, yes, but you're just caught up in a life of doing. Rather,
Mm.
it's like if you want success and you want to model somebody successful, don't just model what they do, model their values, where they're coming from, how are they intentional, what are they doing inside themselves that is obviously putting out, reverberating, rippling out a certain vibration and frequency that is drawing in a level of success, but what it really is happiness that you see in them, that you
Right.
desire, and then do that.
Mm.
Or I should say, and then be that.
Right.
It's like the simplest
Exactly.
things are, it's like usually if it's simple, it's the truth. And one of those great sayings is like, be the change you wish to see. It's like you could take that into anything and it be true. And it's so simple.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's powerful. It's powerful, but in that concept, it shows us how powerful we are, which is what I want to show people. That's I believe a factor of my purpose, showing people how powerful we actually are. Everything Sarah
Yes.
just said. I love that. Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because we get
Hmm.
to choose how we experience this whole thing.
Yep.
And it's like such an
The
adventure. You're
choice.
like, I wonder. Like, I started operating in joy and all of these things. I wonder if I could do more joy. More joy, please. More love, more peace, more living. Like,
Right?
and then all it's like,
Yeah.
now you're really understanding. Now you realize that there really are
100%.
no like highs and lows. All of it is just beautiful.
Hmm. Exactly. Right? And I think that's the most beautiful message about life. And I try and get my clients to understand that. And it's so cool when you see someone grasp it and then their experience of this life is no longer dictated by what's happening. You know, I have an incredible client. She's out in Canada. I'm gonna give her a shout out, Cheryl. We had an incredible conversation in our last session, and for the past month straight, she comes in the sessions like, Billy, I feel bad. There's nothing happening in life. I'm just feeling good. I'm like, so Cheryl, you're experiencing the fact that nothing has to happen for you to experience happiness. That's the
Yes.
most peaceful aspect you can experience in life. And when we achieve that by everything Sarah just touched on, by everything this video touches on, nothing has to be happening to be happy. You can just live life at that level, experiencing love, joy, peace, passion, confidence, optimistic, whatever term you want to characterize as it, you can just be it. And then you walk it. That's how powerful you are. Life is not dictated by what's happening around you. Life is dictated by what's happening in you, and you direct that by where you put your
Yeah.
thoughts, your words, your actions, and you start to walk it out. At that point, everything elevates in your life because you elevated yourself in this life. It can only
Yep.
get better and better every single moment from that point on.
When you change what's inside of you, what's outside of you changes. And the Stoics term, there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way.
I love it. It's awesome.
Oh my gosh, I could talk to, I swear, I mean, if you followed me and you follow Billy, you've seen us, cross promoting our episodes together, but we could probably talk for like 5 hours straight and just keep going on and on and on. And this is what really is, is resonance. And I feel blessed because it's like, this is an example of everything that we've just talked about, right? It's like, when you're resonating at a certain frequency, you're going to draw in those people, those relationships, those interactions, whatever it may be, without you having to do anything. It's literally just your way of
Mm-hmm.
being that is attracting and drawing in these things that are, you may say to yourself, like, this is why I say, like, set your goals generally, which is kind of the opposite of what these like success gurus would tell you, like, be specific, have a 5-year plan. It's like, I actually beg to differ. I say set your goals generally and then be open to how that happens. Like, okay, I okay, God, bring me a partner that you've designed for me. I'm not sitting here saying, like, okay, I want a man who's this, and this. We have to meet this way, and blah. And it's like, if I pigeonhole myself too much in my goals, then I restrict how God wants to work. And then all you need to do is say, okay, bring me my divine counterpart and my divine partner and companion in life. And in the meantime, create in me what you need me to be in order to be that for that other person too. Now I'm not
Mm-hmm.
stressed about, like, okay, where is he? Well, on paper, he looks like the person, and I'm just using an example that most people can resonate with. But what I'm saying is generally set your goals and then resonate to the frequency you need to in order to step into that field.
Yep.
And
I love that.
and here, and
Yep.
it's like, so this is a physical manifestation of, you want more people in your life that share your values and you have deep conversations with. Okay, start resonating that way.
Mm-hmm.
You attract who you
Yep.
are.
And
Oh
then
my gosh.
to, I know we got to close it off, but I'll say this because I
No,
want to
it's like
close
I
out
want to
that
keep
point.
going.
Ask, just ask. And that's a scripture. Ask and it is given. And for us to literally ask God to bring this in and what we want, and He will answer that prayer. He will bring that into your life. To also connect to what Sarah said, you have attachment in life, you have detachment in life, you have non attachment in life. One of the major lessons that God brought me through, and I tell this to you guys now because I know it's going to bring you guys to where you need to be, is learning how to live in non-attachment. And it's funny, I explained this a couple weeks ago in a different interview. Attachment, what Sarah just said, is you're no longer telling God, bring in X. Because what you're saying is that I can only be happy if I have X.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else that the universe could bring in is now gone. You're
Yep.
attached to one outcome. So you can't live without the attachment. That's the same thing in relationships. If you become too attached to a person,
Person.
or it
Yep.
could be money, it could be business, whatever. We're going to stick with the relationship aspect. If you become too attached that you can't live without this person in your life, you're not living your life. You're only experiencing one factor, and life wants to show you every factor. So that's
Oh,
usually when life, spiritual lessons. Yep, you go.
so freaking good. I want to point out to my listeners too, like, so then what you're basically saying is, in order for me to be okay or happy, then first of all, I need this person, but more importantly, I need this person to be what I need them to be and what who I want them to be. Otherwise, I'm not okay. And so we're outsourcing
Right.
our being okay to another person's existence. Not keep
Right.
going.
Exactly.
Non-attachment is something I am so passionate about, Billy. So continue to riff, please.
Yeah. And before I go into detachment, with what Sarah just said, if you're attached to how someone needs to be in your life, essentially you're constricting them to how they need to be in your life. More often than not, that ruins relationships because you're saying it's only this version that I can be happy with. If anything changes in them, I'm not going to be happy anymore. But that puts so much stress on that person because you're so
Yes.
attached to this version. They can't grow, they can't get better because you only like this one way. So if you're
And
so
if they
attached to
do,
something, you're
then you
cutting
guys
off.
are in trouble.
Hmm? Exactly, right? So if you're so attached to certain outcomes in your life, you miss out on life. Then you have detachment. And I've experienced this just as much, where if I don't get my way, I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. I am no longer playing in life. If I don't get the exact person I want in my life, if I don't get the exact result from my business in my life, if something doesn't go exactly as I want it to go, I'm taking my ball, I'm done. I'm detaching myself from life, which means, yes, you might not have the pain of not getting what you want anymore, but now you also just threw life away. And it's like you're going to just go isolate yourself in your room until something. You detached yourself from life. So you're no longer allowing yourself to receive the blessings that life wants to bring in through your experiences. So you need to be able to live life. Non attachment, which is how we're supposed to live, is that if it comes, I let it. If it goes, I let it. I am just
Mhm.
here, being my best version of me, being my best self, bringing joy to whatever I want, and just enjoying life with wherever it goes. The highs, the lows, everything like this. And I believe in my own experiences, that's why people question me and why I can be so happy all the time, is because probably before I even know it, living life in non attachment, it gives you such an incredible baseline to live life at because you're no longer attached to the outcome. You're just enjoying every step of the journey. And if you're enjoying every single step of the journey, that means you stay at a certain level of happiness and joy no matter what is going on. No matter the struggle that could come into your life, you're like, in a way, you take it off the chin, but you know that's going to work out for you because you're not attached to it. You're just, all right, let's keep
Yeah.
going. And then you might get something absolutely extravagant. You enjoy the heck out of that. You love it every single step of the way. Experience that. Enjoy it. Enjoy that moment in your life to the fullest, and then take it with you and keep moving forward. You're no longer attached to life has to go this way. You're no longer attached to life has to be this way. You're like, if it comes, I let it. If it goes, I let it. And people need to grow into that. But why I wanted to bring that up to touch on what Sarah said is because when you can elevate yourself and understand this concept, you throw off all of the weight that we carry with us all the time. And when you finally take that weight off your shoulders, it's like you can breathe again. You can
Breathe.
walk again. You can be like, okay, let's just yeah, right. Let's just see what this day is going to be, and just you're enjoying it because whatever comes in, phenomenal. Whatever leaves, phenomenal. It wasn't supposed to be here. Let's keep going to what is, and it's such an incredible way to live.
Bruce Lee says the more you try to hold on to water, the more of it you lose. And I
Mm,
think what's important to learn from this experience of non attachment, which I echo, as you can obviously see if you're watching this video, a life of non attachment. There's a chapter in my book about this too. Is that we never truly own anything here. We're only ever borrowing. We're borrowing time. We're borrowing time with people. We're borrowing people. We're borrowing things. So to be so arrogant as to think and say, I lost. It's like, what did you lose? You can't lose something you never had. It was a gift
mm,
that you got the time that you
right.
had with whatever it was. Everything goes through cycles and seasons. And to grip so tightly to something that we never really truly have a right to possess is kind of arrogant.
Right.
And also, the more of it we grip, the more we lose. It's important to identify, like if you're gripping to a person, what are you gripping to? You're gripping to the feelings that they make you feel inside yourself. You're gripping to a sense of self, that feels maybe love or importance. So, okay, so go seek a way to feel loved and important without that person. It's okay. You don't need them to experience those things. You don't need anything to experience these things. More importantly is when you live that way of non-attachment, you're basically saying you're projecting reverberating a frequency of abundance to the universe to say, I already have all of it. You can, God gives and God takes away. And more importantly, is I trust that if something is being removed, it's because it's making space for something that I truly do need. And when we are operating out of a place of non-attachment, we are opening ourselves up to the, how I like to say it is, you point God and I'll go. But if I'm like,
Mm,
but if I'm like this, gripping and grasping to this person or thing or career, whatever over here, then I can't hear or see when God's like, hey, Sarah, this way. Okay, now that way, that way, that way. If I'm not attached to
right.
it, if I'm like, okay, cool, this thing is over here and God's finger is over here, then when he changes the direction, I can go and I can say, okay, well, bye to that thing, whatever it may be. And I say that
Yep.
candidly as if it's so easy to do, right? But we're humans with emotions, and this is part of the journey. We can use these feelings that come up when we're being either pulled or pushed, or they're being pulled or pushed away from us as opportunities to learn more about ourselves. Well, oh my gosh, why is this so challenging for me? What am I afraid of? Am I, do I not love myself? Am I fearing abandonment? What is this that's coming up in me? And you could do all of that learning process whilst still detaching yourself from the person or thing. You don't need to hold on to it and
Hmm.
keep yourself in a turmoilic situation any longer than is needed in order to get a lesson. You can keep moving forward in the direction that you're supposed to go, even if it's painful, and extract that lesson. And then I encourage you to do what I do and say, okay, keep me here in this fire, the which I refer to as more emotional, however painful the process may be. Keep me in this for as long as is needed in order for me to learn what you have for me to learn here. Don't take me out a minute sooner or a minute too late. Let me marinate in this so I extract the lesson and then extract the lesson and leave everything else behind.
Mm,
Leave the fear of judgment, leave the trauma, leave the anger, leave the resentment, the regret, the guilt, the shame. Leave all of that behind because it doesn't serve you where you're going, which is forward with a new lesson and having grown through an experience that you didn't expect to have to grow from.
right. Yeah. It's
It's like,
powerful.
do we just keep getting
And
better as time goes on here, Billy?
every new topic just elevates it just a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I'm just waiting for the video to cut off here, like any second.
I mean, we could just easily keep it going. I
Oh
know
my
people.
God, seriously. Well, you know what? I would like to do this to my listeners. First of all, we need to know how we can follow you, find you, learn about your work. But more importantly, to my listeners too, I'm sure Billy and I feel the same way that we plan to collaborate on more of these types of speaking in whatever capacity. And if this is of interest to you, please reach out to one of us or both of us or whatever it may be. If there was anything that stimulated something deeper in you. And here's the thing I want to point out too is like Billy and I are also students in this game called life, in this life school. And so it's like what we say and what we're conversing about, listen always with your heart and take what feels right to you. And the rest of it, you can just let it pass through if that feels right to you too. And maybe listen again and again because new things may find you at different points in your life. But more importantly, if this was thought provoking and it helped you grow or any epiphanies popped off, number one, we'd like to hear about those. But number two, just the feedback. And if there's more things that you would like us to cover, please reach out to us there. So, Billy, please tell my listeners where they can find you and a little bit about also the work that you do with your clients.
Of course, yeah, and to touch on that last aspect, if there was a topic in here that didn't hit you when we said it, as Sarah just said, there may be a time down the line where it does. Keep these thoughts in the back of your mind for when you need them. And that's the beauty of life. There are lessons learned, everything. And as to Sarah's point before she closed this out, there are different seasons in life. Seasons when you're on the up and up, seasons when you're on the down. To have this in your toolkit, to have this in the background, for a podcast, a video you can always go back to, allows you to have a resource to continue to help you to move forward. And I think that's the beauty of life, is that to know what you need to help you move forward. That could be a YouTube channel. That could be a podcast message. That could be a book. That could be something you wrote down in your journal to yourself. To have resources for when you need them, even if they don't hit you right now, will continue to help you move forward. I'm not going to say up the mountain because I don't want to have the mountain aspect, but to help you move forward in the journey of your life. So keep that insight in the back of your mind. But to find me, guys, my website, BillyGLifeCoaching.com. You can find me on Instagram at BillyJanalutis. Got a long last name. Type in Billy G Life Coaching. I'm going to pop up right there for you. YouTube channel, Once a Week with Billy G. We've been going for 334 straight weeks. We have never taken a week off. And every single week, we are putting out a message, whether it's a solo message, whether it's an interview, a collaboration, to help you move forward into the week ahead. Our entire goal with this YouTube channel is to help people elevate themselves, empower them, help them see things from a different perspective to help you heal, grow, thrive, and move forward into everything you want. And it's a blast every single week, guys, so go check that on YouTube. But with the work that we're doing with people, you can find it on our website. I'm a coach and I'm a professional speaker, guys, and my entire purpose is to help people move forward in life into who they are meant to become. One of the prayers I prayed way back when this entire thing started, when I was in that deep pain we touched on earlier, truthfully, it was a very impactful prayer, but it was essentially, God, allow me to step into this, to essentially reach, this is the deeper words I used in my prayers, to reach into people's minds and pull out the person they've always been meant to become, essentially according to his will. So everything that I put out there, guys, is meant to empower you, but to show you how powerful you are with your mind. Whether that's teaching you different insight, as we touched on here, teaching you a tool to always go back to, teaching you how powerful your mind is, just like we described with it being a supercomputer. But when you learn how to do all of this, you just unlock the factor of life that helps you move forward in life. That's our goal. Everyone comes to this message, everyone comes to the YouTube channel, everyone comes in a coaching session at a different factor. I want to make sure we meet you where you are at, no judgments whatsoever, but to help you move forward into what you feel your goals, your dream, your purpose, your destiny, as you touched on, is for you. Because we might not know it, but as we said earlier, on your heart, it's there. And we want to help you uncover that and move forward into this to help you make sure life is just joy on joy on joy, even in the tough times. That's what we're here to do, to help all of us elevate. But guys, go to BillyGLifeCoaching.com. You can find more on us. You can set up a speaking gig with us, for that matter. You can set up a coaching call with us, a free strategy session, so we can help you move forward into whatever it is. We have clients across the country and Canada. We want to help everyone we can. But guys, we want to make sure the resources are there. So reach out if you have any questions, comment on a video. We'll be right there for you. Message me on Instagram, find me on an email. Guys, I want to be in your back pocket to help you, just like this message is going to do. I have no doubt about it.
Beautiful. Obviously, guys, as you can tell, Billy's and my mission is virtually parallel, as mine is igniting the spark within. His, he just said pulling that version of you out that's already been placed there. So Billy, as always, such an honor sharing space with you in whatever capacity, virtual, on a stage, on a text message, whatever it may be. It's always so invigorating for me, and I'm happy to be able to bring that invigoration to my listeners as well. So guys, I will link all of his information in the show notes. You can find out more about him. Go follow him on social media, please, please, please. And if this episode brought you value, please share it with someone else. Please subscribe and rate on Spotify and subscribe on YouTube. And we will talk to you guys very, very soon. And until next time, have a great day.
See you guys.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Ignite the Spark Within. If this podcast brought you value, or you think it would bring someone else value, please hit that share button. My mission is to reach and help as many people as I possibly can. And you just never know who could use that one good piece of information. And hey, if you have any topics, discussion questions, or ideas for future episodes, you can reach me directly at sarah@sparkflc.com and just write podcast in the subject line. And if you haven't already, please rate the podcast on your favorite podcast channel. This helps bring awareness to the show. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're alerted for all future episodes. Please go ahead and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And if you're interested in pursuing coaching for yourself, you can visit sparkflc.com for more information.